While following a murder case as a juror, a man suddenly realizes that the culprit is actually himself. That night, he thought he had hit a deer, but in reality, it was a human being. Currently, the victim's boyfriend is accused of killing his girlfriend and is about to become a father. Will the man step forward to confess, or will he bury this secret in his heart? That is the plot of the movie Juror No. 2, released in 2024, the 43rd work and also the final film in the career of the 93-year-old legend Clint Eastwood. This film delves into the seemingly perfect judicial system of the United States. Unlike the classic 12 Angry Men, which focuses on the entire jury, Juror No. 2 points the lens at the main character, who is torn between reason and emotion. The story begins with Justin, who is at home with his wife when he receives a summons from the local court. He has been randomly selected to serve as a juror for a case. In the American legal system, jurors play an extremely important role. Their final decision is often the final verdict of the case. Justin and his wife have different views on his selection. His wife thinks it is an honor and encourages Justin to fulfill his civic duty. Justin, however, finds it troublesome and worries that his work and life will be affected. However, to please his wife, he still drives his green car to the court according to the summons. At this time, the courtroom is packed with those lucky enough to be chosen. They have to go through a series of screening steps to select 12 official jurors. First, the judge presents the case and excludes jurors with connections to the parties involved. Justin intended to use the excuse of needing to care for his wife to evade the duty, but he was immediately rejected by the judge. Next, the prosecutor and the defense attorney began asking questions to get a brief background of the jurors. Wanting more rational thinking in the trial, they finally selected 12 people with warm, stable families. Justin was among them and was designated as Juror No. 2. Returning home, Justin broke the news to his pregnant wife. She was very happy that her husband was chosen. Justin also had to accept the court's arrangement. It was said that this case would be heard soon. In the first session, the prosecutor and defense attorney took turns presenting the details of the case to the jurors. On the night of October 25th of the previous year, the defendant James and his girlfriend Carter had an argument about their relationship while drinking at a bar near the quarry. Justin was also present there. James was very agitated at the time. He reached out to hold his girlfriend back to stop her from arguing. Carter got angry and stormed out of the bar. A girl standing at the door saw this scene and, out of curiosity, ran after them and took out her phone to record. She captured the couple continuing their conflict outside. Finally, they had a huge argument. Carter lost her temper and walked away into the rain. James, angry, also drove home, but then worried about his girlfriend's safety. After calming down, James immediately drove after her. Near the bar, there was a stone bridge. Carter had just walked there when she was murdered. The next day, her body was found at the foot of the bridge. The horrifying thing was that Carter's neck was completely broken, and her head was twisted strangely. Clearly, she had been brutally impacted before dying. The police quickly confirmed this. Consequently, James, who had chased after Carter, became the number one suspect. Near the bridge, there was an old man living there. That day, he was near the crime scene. Through the rain, the old man seemingly saw a man get out of a car, look around, and then leave. Prosecutor Keller argued that James was an abusive man who frequently used violence, so it was very likely he killed her in a fit of rage. Conversely, defense attorney Eric believed that his client, James, was not present at the scene at the time of the crime. After hearing the detailed presentation of the case, everyone seemed to have their own conclusions, except for Justin. This case reawakened a long-buried memory, sending him into a state of extreme panic. 1 year ago, Justin had also gone to that bar. At that time, his wife had unfortunately suffered a miscarriage. The day of the murder was also the due date of the twins who never got the chance to be born. Justin wanted to drink to drown his sorrows, but because he had a history of alcoholism and feared he wouldn't be able to control himself once he started, he didn't drink. It was pouring rain when Justin left the bar. While driving across the stone bridge, Justin suddenly received a text from his wife. He reflexively glanced at his phone. Immediately after, the car seemed to hit something. Justin hurriedly got out to check, but there was nothing around, only a sign warning of migrating deer. Justin thought he had hit a deer, so he didn't pay it any more mind and immediately drove home. Now, recalling it, Justin felt increasingly terrified. By the next court session, Justin was constantly in a state of panic. Usually, after work, he would drive straight home, but today he chose to stay at the office. Waiting until his colleagues had all left, Justin began searching for information about the case. Learning there was a witness made Justin even more anxious and uneasy. He trembled as he looked up the consequences of causing a fatal accident, but just then, a cleaner arrived, startling Justin, who hurriedly turned off his computer. Back home, Justin tossed and turned all night, unable to sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, the scene of the accident from years ago reappeared. It wasn't until the second session began that Justin's panic subsided, but it was replaced by a sense of guilt towards James, who was being falsely accused. This session mainly involved the prosecutor summoning witnesses, after which the defense attorney would offer counterarguments. The first person to testify was the girl standing at the door of the bar filming. That day, while hanging out with friends, she saw the couple arguing, so she curiously followed them out of the bar to record. James pulled his girlfriend with a fierce look, appearing very scary. This girl also saw James follow Carter out of the bar. Defense attorney Eric discovered an important issue. He asked if the girl was drinking at the time. She had to admit she was. Therefore, the filming girl couldn't guarantee she was completely sober. Furthermore, she didn't follow the two for long and returned to the bar immediately after, so she couldn't prove James followed Carter. Next, the bar owner testified. She recalled that after the couple argued and left, they didn't return. The next morning, while she was taking out the trash, a bearded man rushed over to report a corpse near the bar. The bearded man stated that when he saw Carter, she was already dead, and the death looked tragic. Eric began questioning the bearded man. It was revealed that he spent 2 days every week jogging down to the foot of the bridge to exercise. Because the path down was steep and difficult, the bearded man always wore hiking boots. However, the victim under the bridge was wearing high heels. Therefore, the possibility could not be ruled out that in the pouring rain with limited visibility, she walked along the edge of the old quarry road, suddenly lost her balance, fell off the bridge, and died. The bearded man agreed with this assessment. However, this conclusion was quickly rejected by the medical examiner. She stated that the victim's landing posture showed someone had pushed her down, not that she fell on her own. Rigor mortis indicated the victim had been dead for about 9 hours. Her skull was severely fractured, proving she had been struck hard by a blunt object. The manner of death was determined to be homicide. Next, Eric asked the medical examiner if the possibility that the head wound was caused by hitting a rock could be ruled out. The medical examiner said this possibility couldn't be completely denied. Therefore, her testimony wasn't entirely precise and was clearly insufficient to help the jury determine the truth. The next witness was an old man living in a mobile home nearby. In the rain, he saw a man get out of a car. Curious, he approached the window to observe. Just then, a flash of lightning struck. The old man saw the man look around, walk to the edge of the road, stare at the railing for a while, and then drive away. Without hesitation, the old man accused James. Eric did not continue questioning. The judge declared a recess. Sitting in the jury box, Justin secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Although he had escaped blame, he felt his conscience gnawing at him. After the session, Justin sought out a friend who was a lawyer for advice. He recounted the accident of hitting a deer a year ago. At that time, after getting out of the car, he only saw that his headlights were broken but couldn't find the deer. Moreover, a murder occurred at the same time and place. It was all too coincidental. The friend seemed to understand everything. Why are you telling me this? Maybe what you hit wasn't a deer. I don't know what to do. Did you order alcohol at the bar? Yes, but I didn't drink. That doesn't matter. You used to be an alcoholic. No jury in the world will believe you didn't drink. At this moment, Justin still held a glimmer of hope, perhaps confessing would lead to a lighter sentence. But the lawyer friend told him a harsh truth: Justin had a prior record of drunk driving. A year ago, he went to a bar again and then caused a fatal accident. The prosecution would have every reason to charge Justin with first-degree vehicular manslaughter or even second-degree murder. Justin could face 30 years to life in prison. This meant his life would be completely ruined. Thinking of his wife about to give birth at home, Justin hesitated completely. The third court session began. The defendant James was present to defend himself. Under Eric's guidance, he recounted the events of that night. For 2 weeks she kept asking to move in together. I kept telling her I wasn't ready and we'd figure it out later. What does "figure it out later" mean? I guess she couldn't take it anymore. She said I didn't love her and angrily stormed off. Then what happened? We had a big argument in the parking lot. James admitted he initially intended to drive to find his girlfriend, but once in the car, he calmed down. He thought Carter was angry, and if he chased her now, they would surely argue again. So James decided to wait until the next day to meet and resolve the conflict. In reality, James only didn't agree to let her move in because he wanted to protect Carter. He didn't expect it to cause a misunderstanding. However, Prosecutor Keller, who was too familiar with the hypocrisy of men, began to press and question James's love for Carter. Initially, when arguing in the bar, James hot-temperedly knocked over a bottle of wine. Then they continued arguing outside the bar. While Carter was drunk, James heartlessly drove away, leaving his girlfriend be. Could that be considered love? James was tongue-tied and speechless. Eric also had to give up on further rebuttal. Next, both the prosecution and defense presented their closing arguments to the jury. Keller argued that Carter's death was a barbaric crime committed by a monster. Eric, through James's recent behavior, affirmed that James was an innocent man, broken by the loss of the love of his life. Next, Keller presented solid evidence. A witness saw James appear at the scene at the time of the victim's death. Thus, he surely had just killed the victim when the old man caught him. However, Eric argued that in the stormy midnight weather with limited visibility, the possibility that the old man mistook the person could not be ruled out. Keller continued arguing, mentioning that the medical examiner only found James's fingerprints on the victim. But Eric reasoned that since they were lovers, leaving fingerprints was completely logical. After both sides finished their arguments, the jury would perform their duty, participating in the process of judging the case. Finally, 12 jurors would decide if James was guilty or not. The jurors entered the deliberation room. After discussion, they reached a consensus. They all believed James was guilty. Justin, the only one who knew the truth, looked out the window with a pensive gaze. Just as everyone voted unanimously to pass the decision, he resolutely voted against it. Then, Justin earnestly begged everyone to discuss it thoroughly because this involved a human life and they couldn't act hastily. Justin's disruptive action made everyone unhappy. He couldn't clearly articulate what was wrong. Just as a black woman, who was in a hurry to get home, was about to argue with Justin, a man standing nearby hit the nail on the head. That's not right. You're just feeling guilty. What do you mean? You want to go back to your neighborhood and tell your neighbors that we treated that boy fairly, so he could enjoy fairness like everyone else. After the man spoke, Justin breathed a sigh of relief. He suggested everyone discuss it deeper together because this concerned a person's entire life. The group leader was the first to agree. At this time, Keller was holding a press conference outside the courthouse. Although the jury hadn't released a result, she completely believed in her victory. Keller confidently spoke to the cameras that she always persisted in speaking up to protect abused women. In reality, she also had her own calculations. Winning this lawsuit would directly affect the local election results by 5% of the vote. However, Keller hadn't accounted for Justin's existence. Thanks to his appeal, everyone gradually calmed down and began reviewing the testimony in the case. The group leader listed the most solid evidence, which was the witness testimony at the scene on the day of the crime. The old man saw James appear on the bridge looking down at where the body was found. Immediately, someone suspected that the old man was elderly, so bad eyesight was unavoidable. Moreover, the thick vegetation made it hard to see people clearly in the rain. But everyone didn't think the old man would lie because there was no conflict of interest between the parties. Justin, with the perspective of someone who knew the truth beforehand, tried to exonerate James by guiding everyone toward the idea that the old man might have mistaken the person. Thanks to Justin's suggestion, the former police officer, ex-cop, made a new discovery. In fact, 32 murder cases occurred between people living together. They arrested James without looking for any other suspects. The man opposite immediately mocked, "You probably watch too much TV to think wildly like that." It wasn't until the ex-cop showed his badge that the man fell silent. The ex-cop laid his cards on the table. Justin couldn't help but be startled and worried, fearing he would be exposed and caught by him. The ex-cop argued that typically police find evidence and then identify a suspect, but it's not impossible that during the investigation, they used James's photo for the witness to identify. Therefore, the witness might have confused that blurry image and labeled James as the suspect. Once a suspect is identified, the police will ignore any information that doesn't help the case, so bias occurs during the confirmation process. Although everyone just wants to do the right thing, they overlook their mistakes. But what exactly was the murder weapon? This remained an unanswered question. Someone guessed the weapon was discarded by the suspect, or perhaps he used something that wasn't a typical weapon to kill her. For example, a car. It's very likely a hit and run. Hearing this, Justin panicked and knocked over his water glass. The scene became chaotic. The ex-cop suddenly had an epiphany. He completely agreed with this conjecture. Justin didn't expect that he initially only wanted to use his status as a juror to help an innocent person escape conviction, but who knew he would play with fire and make himself a suspect. The ex-cop asserted with his 22 years of experience that this case still had many hidden aspects. If you were still a police officer now, what would you do? The old woman's question shook the ex-cop. He had the answer in his heart, but was interrupted by the bailiff reminding them of the time. After the session, the ex-cop couldn't sit still. He decided to investigate this case thoroughly. Noticing the ex-cop's unusual behavior, Justin immediately drove after him. Sure enough, the ex-cop was a decisive man. He went straight to the scene of the crime from years ago, carefully observing the environment around the stone bridge. Suddenly, a phone ring broke the silence. The ex-cop looked in the direction of the sound. Justin hurriedly hung up and ducked down in his seat, but his green car stood out too much. Just as the ex-cop intended to approach and check, he received a call from his wife urging him home, so he had to leave the scene. Before leaving, the ex-cop quietly noted Justin's license plate number. At the jury's second discussion session, the ex-cop directly questioned Justin, "Why were you following me?" Justin tried to act calm, advising the ex-cop to follow the jury rules and not investigate the case independently. The ex-cop didn't pursue the matter further. Then, he secretly took out a file recording information on all cars that came to the garage for body repairs within a day after the crime occurred. The search range was too wide, with over 100 cars, so the ex-cop spent the whole weekend filtering them. According to his experience, common damage to cars causing accidents includes headlights, grills, and hoods. Therefore, the ex-cop used the process of elimination to quickly narrow down the suspicious vehicles to 15. However, there was a car model that caught the ex-cop's attention, Justin's green Toyota SUV. Luckily, the ex-cop didn't suspect him. After confirming it was Justin's car, he intended to cross this car off the list, and even showed the document to Justin so they could study it together. At this moment, Justin was extremely nervous, fearing that saying one wrong thing would lead to discovery by the ex-cop. To prevent the ex-cop from leading everyone in the deliberation room, Justin intentionally dropped the file on the floor. This action attracted the attention of the bailiff. Seeing the content of the document, he immediately took the ex-cop and Justin to see the judge. To ensure fairness, jurors are forbidden from investigating the case independently and must only render a verdict based on what is presented and testified in court. During the previous background check, the ex-cop hadn't declared his former job. The judge immediately revoked his juror status. Seeing the ex-cop's good attitude in admitting fault, the judge didn't pursue responsibility. The ex-cop gallantly took all the blame, so Justin wasn't implicated and continued as juror number 2. When leaving, the ex-cop specifically warned Keller that her investigation direction was wrong. He once again affirmed with his years of professional experience that Carter's death was a typical hit-and-run accident. Although outwardly appearing cold, Keller wavered a bit inside. She began investigating following the clue the ex-cop provided. The jury's second discussion session officially began. Being questioned by everyone, Justin had to admit that the ex-cop had secretly investigated repair records after the accident. This new discovery made everyone increasingly believe that this murder case might be a hit-and-run accident. Having the right direction, everyone's discussion moved closer and closer to the truth. Carter was 1.65 m tall. If she bent down, the car causing the accident could be an SUV or a truck. Her entire head and body were very vulnerable to impact. Hearing this, Justin felt his scalp go numb. Initially, he wanted to clear the name of an innocent person, who would have thought he'd shoot himself in the foot. He suggested starting to vote to cut the discussion short. Because Justin provided the clue, everyone trusted him and was very willing to follow the arrangement. After this round of discussion, more and more people thought James was innocent. However, a knowledgeable man spoke up saying James wasn't a good person. He held up a sketch of another person and pointed to a tattoo detail on James's neck. I recognized that as the symbol of a gang in the West Side. A drug dealer coming from that gang, killing and arson wouldn't be strange. This man's younger brother had also joined that gang and eventually died tragically in a purge. His brother was only 17 when he passed away. Because of this tragedy, from the start, the man labeled James a killer. His eyes were blinded by prejudice, ignoring justice and truth. Justin still hoped the innocent would be exonerated, so he argued that James had left the gang and could completely rebuild his life. He even told his own past of alcoholism. Justin said that thanks to his wife's help, he successfully quit drinking for 4 years and started a new life. The other man acknowledged Justin's change but still didn't believe James would turn over a new leaf. At this point, Keller decided to investigate the repair records of the 15 cars to verify her theory. She didn't mind the hard work, visiting each car owner one by one and narrowing the scope of suspects through questioning. Keller took the opportunity to go to the crime scene to survey. The cars whizzing by made her shudder. If it was this dangerous in broad daylight, let alone a stormy night with limited visibility. The possibility of a hit-and-run seemed increasingly high. Keller couldn't help but start doubting herself. Was the direction she persisted in for so long wrong? Keller decided to find the old man living nearby again to talk. She made a new discovery: perhaps the police inadvertently caused a mistake. As I said in court, the police showed me a photo and asked if that was the man I saw that night. Did they show you other photos? No. They already knew he was the culprit, they just needed me to confirm. I was very willing to help. Everyone was very kind. Allow me to say this, being needed by people feels really wonderful. This answer made Keller shudder. For this old man living alone, it seemed the truth wasn't that important. Or perhaps that night he didn't see the man's face clearly, but because he was too lonely, when people needed him, he was willing to testify. In reality, the old man wasn't sure if James was the real culprit either. When she arrived at Justin's house, Keller further solidified her thoughts. She sought out Justin's wife based on the name of the last car owner on the list. Justin's wife tried to recall the events of last year. She said her husband had accidentally hit a deer at that time. The location of the accident she provided was not near the quarry. Clearly, Justin had lied earlier to hide the fact that he went to the bar, accidentally causing the lawyer to misunderstand. Although Justin's wife mentioned her husband's name, the name, Justin, was too common, so Keller didn't pay attention to this detail. After running a full circle, she still didn't find a suspect among the 15 car owners and fell back into a loop of internal struggle. Finally, the jury entered the third round of voting, but the result was still not unanimous. Because everyone argued endlessly, the group leader suggested the judge allow them to visit the crime scene to examine it, hoping this would bring new thoughts. This was the first time the judge encountered this situation. To end the case soon, after getting consent from lawyers on both sides, she agreed to make an exception for this case. After the session, Justin met his lawyer friend again and told him the results of the recent discussions. The friend seriously advised Justin that if he continued trying to clear James's name, the case would become an unsolved mystery. Once James was declared acquitted, the case would shift from murder to a hit and run, attracting widespread attention from the media. Therefore, the case wouldn't sink due to a mistrial. The prosecution would certainly seize this hot trend to reinvestigate until they found the culprit. Furthermore, the jury was very close to the truth. If professional lawyers and police got involved, Justin would face life imprisonment. At this moment, Justin realized he had been so engrossed in finding a way to exonerate James that he forgot that if the fire spread to him, it couldn't be extinguished. The friend's reminder made Justin break out in a cold sweat. He decided he had to change his strategy. Arriving home, Justin's wife honestly told him about Keller's visit. After confirming his wife had given a false statement regarding the location, Justin felt somewhat reassured, but his dazed expression couldn't fool his wife. Justin promised his wife he would protect this family well. At this moment, for the sake of his small home, the scale in Justin's heart tilted completely to one side. In the final vote, the jury was arranged by the court to visit the crime scene for a survey. Justin went to the scene one more time. The images reenacting the incident kept repeating in his mind, torturing him incessantly. His moral limits were tested. Back on the day of the crime, Justin was drowning in extreme pain over the loss of his child. But because he wanted to rebuild his life, he didn't dare touch a drop of alcohol. Justin sat crying alone in his car, afraid of bringing his negative mood home and affecting his grieving wife. Who knew that just by glancing at a text message, he would be swept into a vortex of sin and punishment? A big guy, fellow juror, saw through Justin's weakness and advised him to obediently stand on his side and together put the real killer in prison. It turned out the big guy thought Justin was fighting alone and under too much mental pressure, causing his many unusual actions. This trial had only two outcomes: either James is convicted, or the jury cannot reach a final verdict. Justin decided that once you start something, you must finish it. Based on the big guy's line of thinking, he chose the stance most beneficial to himself, pushing the jury to vote unanimously. The group leader presented the verdict to the judge. The 12 jurors unanimously agreed that the defendant James was guilty. The case ended there. Justin also welcomed the birth of his baby daughter. Initially, he thought he could be happy with his family, but every time he heard police sirens wailing, a vague uneasiness rose in his heart. On the day James was sentenced, despite his wife's discouragement, Justin still went to the court. By this time, Prosecutor Keller had been promoted and given a raise thanks to winning the case. She even had a private parking spot at the courthouse. On the way to court, Keller received a bouquet of flowers. She casually brought the card into the courtroom. While waiting, Keller opened the card and realized the flowers were from Carter's parents. She politely turned back to nod at them sitting in the audience. She unintentionally saw Justin. He was looking at James with eyes full of tears and guilt. Keller suddenly remembered a detail she had overlooked. She quickly looked up the name of the 15th car owner and his spouse's photo. Sure enough, it was Justin and his wife. Keller finally realized she had mistaken a hit-and-run accident for a murder case, going completely against her conscience. But the judge declared James guilty of premeditated murder and sentenced him to life imprisonment without parole. Poor James, after losing the person he loved, had to bear the punishment for the criminal. After the trial, Keller actively sought Justin out to talk. Although not speaking explicitly, both understood each other's meaning. "You look tired." "Same as you. I have a newborn at home." "I didn't mean that." "Congratulations on being elected." "I read the paper. I think that job of yours will surely contribute a lot." "Sometimes maybe. But it's not as easy as you think." "But then I discovered I was completely wrong." "When you clarify the truth. He isn't a madman. He isn't even a criminal. He's just a normal person." "What if it was an accident?" "This isn't an accident. No matter what, it can't be proven." Just like back then, he didn't realize he had driven into someone else. "You can only trust him." "Why should I do that?" "Because he's a good person. He's in a difficult situation." "You're right. It's truly very difficult. His family relies entirely on him. Just like someone is relying on you." "What about justice?" "Sometimes the truth is not justice." "Do you really think so?" "The media will bury you without mercy. This case will become an obsession haunting you. Then some politician will replace your position. The criminal will remain at large outside the law. And a good person and his family will be ruined. Where is the justice in that?" At this moment, Justin also understood that Keller could not easily give up the reputation and benefits she had just gained. If she wanted to overturn the case, she would have to trade everything she had built for so long. This is cruel for a politician. Therefore, Keller didn't have enough standing to judge Justin's actions. However, she realized she had lost something more important. Even in a high position, Keller no longer felt happy. Time passed, and Justin's life gradually got back on track. Everything settled down, he no longer worried, instead enjoying happy moments with his wife and child. But when Keller came to knock on the door, the happy smile on Justin's face vanished. The movie does not completely reveal the final truth or the real culprit, whether Justin hit a deer or a human. His choice, linked to human nature, becomes the film's biggest knot. The goddess of justice, holding scales and a sword, is blindfolded as a silent reminder to everyone that when passing judgment, one must ensure objectivity and fairness, not be deceived by appearances, and certainly not carry prejudice and subjective emotions. In the series of works by Clint Eastwood, Juror No. 2 is not a film that shows off technique. It lacks the grandeur of the Wild West like the Dollars trilogy, and lacks the tragic romance of the Bridges of Madison County, but it delivers soul-shaking shocks derived from debates on law and justice, things that require people to calm their minds to think about. This director, nearly a century old, does not